Hi, everybody. Welcome to Side Week, and this is our second Sunday looking at heart and soil and kind of diving into what it looks like to follow God and have a full-formed Christian life now that we've gone through soul care and the Soul Search series and looking at taking the stuff out of our lives that needs to be out. And what does it look like now that everything is kind of new again and refreshed and kind of reset, what side looks like. And so for me, this week, my question mark is, what do I need to do in order to take the freedom that I've found through all of the prayer and all of the things and the exercises that I did through the Soul Search series? How do I take those things and keep them and not slide back into where I was before? I don't want to go back into that place of being under oppression or being stuck. I want to stay free. I want to stay whole. I want to stay cleansed. I want to stay healthy. And so what are some of the things that I need to do now? And what are some of the things that I need to think about in order to stay in that place of victory and stay in that place of freedom? And the light bulb for me came when I realized that a big part of it is discipline. That living a disciplined life isn't something that I can just pray and ask God, please make me a disciplined person. And then like clockwork, magically every day at 5 o'clock, I wake up at 5 o'clock and I'm ready to dive into reading my Bible and praying and having a good quiet time with God. Neither is it that I need to pray a lack of disciplined spirit out of my life and then magically I'll be a disciplined person. But discipline comes with practice. Discipline comes by being disciplined. It's kind of like patience. You don't get to be a patient person just by asking for patience. You get to be a patient person by waiting. And it's the same thing. So with discipline, I need to be a disciplined person in order to strengthen the muscles that I have, my spiritual muscles, so that I can stay in that healthy spot. And kind of tied to discipline then is the fact that I can't do that by myself. God's placed a community around me to help me do that. And so what Side Week becomes for me and what focusing on my community becomes for me is that place where I am strengthened and I am held accountable because of the group of people around me. And then for my arrow, I look at my house church and I look at our house churches and a question comes out of that to move forward, which is, what's the purpose of a house church? If the purpose of a house church is to have a house church so that I can have a conversation with somebody and say, I got this great dip recipe at house church last night, and then they know I'm in a house church and therefore growing, then maybe I'm not doing house church right. And maybe it's not actually a house church. Maybe it's just a house group. Maybe it's just a group of people who get together and like each other and chat about things, but there's no real purpose to it. If the purpose of my house church is to make me and the people in my house church look more like Jesus, act more like Jesus, reflect the freedom that we've been given, well, then that looks different. So it looks different because our conversations are different. When somebody comes to house church and says, oh, I don't need any prayer for anything. If the purpose is house church is for house church, my response to that is, okay, that's great. Great that you have such a great season of life. If the purpose of my house church is to say, I want to help me and the people in my house church look more like Jesus, then somebody who says, I don't need prayer, I say, I'm sure you do. Let's talk about that. Where are you hiding? What's going on? What's really happening? And then we become more like Jesus. So when my purpose of house church is clear that it's actually not just for itself, but it's actually to help me become more like Jesus, then I'm able to understand it's also there to help me be more disciplined. So someone says, I didn't do the reading this week or last week. I've just been really busy. If the purpose of house church is to say, we just got together and did house church, then we all sit and nod and say, yeah, it's a really busy season. It's so hard for you. But if the purpose of our house church is to say, we're all going to be working towards looking more like Jesus. When someone says, I can't do my reading, I'm just so busy. We say, what time are you doing your quiet time? Every day, do you have a consistent time? Can I text you at that time and just keep you there and help you out and hold you accountable? And that helps us look and react and be more like Jesus and leads to a life of joy. So have some fun tonight diving into, why are you meeting as a house church? What is the purpose of your house church? And maybe do a bit of an inventory and a bit of a recommitment to each other to say, no, I give you permission to look into my life. I give you permission to go into those awkward places and say, why are you not doing this? Because I want to look more like Jesus and I want to help you look more like Jesus. So have a great night diving into that stuff and helping each other become more like Christ.